6 a.m. My phone buzzed. A text from one of our elders. "Pastor, we need to meet at 7 p.m. tonight. We'll be discussing your position." My heart dropped. I thought, discussing my position? That doesn't sound like a promotion. And in that moment, I realized something most American pastors take for granted but would absolutely shock most Korean Christians. I might lose my job through a vote. Let me back up. I'm Daniel, and I've been a pastor for over 20 years. 10 years in Korea, 10 years here in California. And let me tell you, these two church systems? They're like comparing apples to kimchi. Both are great, but one's crisp and sweet, and the other? Spicy, fermented, and will make you cry in ways you didn't expect. Today, I want to share the most eye-opening, heart-wrenching, and ultimately beautiful experience that changed how I see church leadership forever. Here's what most Americans don't know. In Korea, when you become a senior pastor, it's basically a lifetime appointment. No votes. No annual reviews. No possibility of being voted out unless you commit a serious moral failure or financial scandal. The senior pastor is the authority. What he says goes. The elders advise, but they don't decide. So when I came to America and saw how churches operated here, I was genuinely confused. Wait, the congregation votes on the pastor? Elders can ask a pastor to resign? There are term limits? I remember thinking, is this a church or a corporation? But I was about to learn why this system exists, and it wasn't going to be a pleasant lesson. Let me take you back 1 year before that text message. I had just arrived in California, excited to serve as an associate pastor. The senior pastor was amazing, truly gifted, loved by everyone. Then one Sunday afternoon, something strange happened. The elders called a closed meeting. The senior pastor wasn't invited. Neither was I. 2 hours later, the meeting ended. The elders' faces were stone cold. The senior pastor came into my office, pale as paper. "Daniel, I'm leaving in 3 months." Wait, what? Did you sin or something? I actually said that. I was Korean, I didn't know better. He smiled and said, "They voted." My direction didn't align with the church's vision. I got 58%. I needed 70. My brain short-circuited. In Korea, pastors don't leave unless there's a scandal, a lawsuit, or a meteor from heaven. But here, just because your direction doesn't match? I asked him, "Aren't you going to fight this? Appeal?" He smiled sadly. "Daniel, this is the American church system. It's not wrong, it's just different. I respect their decision. God has the next place ready for me." I couldn't understand it. "You mean pastors get performance reviews? Like employees? Is this a church or a company?" I was honestly angry. This felt so cold, so businesslike. 3 months later, he preached his last sermon. He cried, "I love you all. Even though my ministry didn't meet your expectations, my time here was a blessing. Please welcome and serve the next pastor well. May you remain united in Christ." The congregation cried. The elders cried. But nobody tried to reverse the decision. They just said thank you for your service, God bless your next ministry, and shook hands. I watched this thinking, is this right? It feels so transactional, so corporate. But I was about to experience it myself. And that would change everything. 2 years later, it was my turn. New senior pastor arrived. I was given responsibility for the youth ministry. I was pumped. I had a vision for a new type of worship service for young people. More contemporary, more expressive, more engaging. I stayed up nights creating the proposal. Prayer, planning, budgets, everything. I presented my big idea to the elders, passionate, prayed up, PowerPoint ready. 15 minutes later, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't in a church meeting. I was on Shark Tank. What's your budget justification? Do you have data to support this? What's your contingency plan? I half expected someone to say. And for that reason, Pastor, I'm out. Then came the vote. 7 elders. 3 voted yes. 4 voted no. Rejected. In my head, I heard that buzzer sound from talent shows. You know, the "you're out" sound? That's what it felt like. I asked, why not? One elder calmly explained, "Pastor Daniel, your idea is good. But our church finances can't support this budget right now. And we're concerned about conflicts with existing programs. Resubmit in 6 months. I nodded. Yes, I understand. But inside, I was boiling. That night, I sat in my car in the church parking lot, hands gripping the steering wheel, thinking, maybe I should go back to Korea. At least there, no one votes you out. I called my wife. Honey, I want to go back to Korea. This isn't the church I know. She said, honey, breathe. God's not done yet. A week later, one of the elders who voted against me invited me for coffee. I didn't want to go. What is this? Another performance review? A second interview? But I went. He smiled warmly and said, Pastor Daniel, we didn't reject you. Your vision is actually great. The timing just isn't right for our church right now. Then he said something I'll never forget. We're not trying to control you. We're partnering with you to build this church together. The pastor doesn't carry the church alone. We all carry it together. You, me, all the members. We're all equal servants before God. That's why we vote. That's why we discuss. Not because we don't trust you, but because we all share responsibility for this church. That day, something changed. It hit me like a ton of bricks. In Korea, I had taken pastoral authority for granted. I expected my ideas to be accepted because I was the pastor. But here in America, being a pastor doesn't mean being the CEO of a church. It means being a co-laborer, shoulder to shoulder with God's people. That night, I prayed. God, I was arrogant. The church isn't mine. It's yours. And it belongs to all your people. The next 6 months, I changed. I had coffee meetings with those elders probably 20 times. I became a coffee expert, let me tell you. But in those conversations, I learned to see the whole church, not just my ministry. I rewrote my proposal. More realistic. More considerate of the entire church vision. 6 months later, I presented again. This time, 6 out of 7 voted yes. And a year after that, I saw something I'll never forget. Our church was selecting a new senior pastor. The entire congregation gathered. We listened to 3 candidate pastors preach. Then we voted. Deacons voted. Young adults voted. Even new members voted. Everyone had a voice. It looked less like an election and more like a family deciding its future together. And watching that, I got emotional. This is the real church. Not one person's church. Everyone's church. That day, I whispered, God, the church really doesn't belong to us. It belongs to you. Here's the truth I learned. Neither system is perfect. The Korean system with strong pastoral leadership? It creates powerful unity and rapid growth. Churches can move fast, mobilize quickly, accomplish big visions. The passion, dedication, and spiritual fire in Korean churches is absolutely beautiful. The American democratic system? It creates transparency, accountability, and shared ownership. Financial scandals are rare because everything's reviewed. Decisions are slower but more sustainable. And every member truly feels like an owner, not just a guest. But here's what hit me the hardest. Whether the system is Korean or American, hierarchical or democratic, the truth remains the same. We all serve the same God. We all love the same Jesus. Korean pastors and American pastors? We're all trying to build God's kingdom. And in the end, that love for Christ is identical across cultures. That night when I cried in the parking lot, I thought I was experiencing rejection. But God was teaching me humility. He was showing me that the church doesn't belong to any person. It belongs to Him. And whether the system is Korean or American, that truth doesn't change. So, Americans watching this, you might not realize how rare your church democracy is. Most of the world doesn't operate this way. Korean viewers or anyone from hierarchical church backgrounds, imagine your elders holding a vote on your pastor. Yeah, I can hear the collective gasp from here. Could this democratic system work in your context? What would need to change? But maybe, just maybe, we can learn from each other. Korean churches can learn transparency and accountability. American churches can learn passion and unity. Systems change, cultures change, but one thing doesn't. Jesus Christ is Lord of them all. If you've experienced both worlds, I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Have you experienced church in different cultures? What surprised you? Let's learn from each other. Subscribe for more stories like this, and hit that notification bell. See you in the next video. May God bless you wherever you serve.